welcome back to another episode of the Sports Department Podcast with Justin Valentovic, Stephen Clark, and Stephen Bologna. We're back for the first time in about a week. We're on our little summer schedule, kind of doing one or two a week. Nothing too major as we're trying to get through the baseball season and the NFL offseason. The NBA Finals are starting Tuesday night when we're recording this, and the Stanley Cup is basically over because Lightning are going to win back-to-back cups at that point because there's really nothing else to talk about in the NHL. But in the world of baseball, we have the All-Star Game selections and rosters and the whole everything else that goes on with the All-Star break, as well as the Subway Series, the first of two to happen this season, the first one taking place at Yankee Stadium, and the Mets took 2 out of 3. So the panic button hasn't been hit yet for the Yankees. I'm not sure, maybe, but the Mets definitely walked away with 2 big wins as both teams really needed a series win, but it was the Mets walking away victorious of the series, but not the sweep. So, guys, what's going on? Are you just licking your hand?
I was doing the Jameis Winston thing, the dub, eating the dub.
Oh, you're eating dubs?
Eating dubs. That's what the Mets did this weekend, so I'm doing very, very well. It was 4th of July weekend. Pretty nice weather on Sunday, which was nice. A little rain before that, but it cleared up perfectly for the annoying fireworks to be set off on Sunday. So yay, fireworks.
They were getting shot off by me until like 1 a.m.
Yeah, all 3 of us were on, Xbox last night and literally just hanging out. And all of a sudden, yeah, they're still going off. I hate fireworks. They're stupid because my dogs hate them. That's why I hate them. But otherwise, I'm doing great.
It was a good 4th of July until around 4 o'clock, and then it was a bad 4th of July, and then it was good to end the night. Yeah. Very good to end the night, that is. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the Mets could not finish. So that's what it is, I guess, but we'll talk about it.
So let's talk about it first off. The Mets, as you said, they didn't finish off. They won the first 2 games of the series, the first of which was rained out, so it got pushed to a doubleheader on Sunday, which Yankee fans and some broadcasters weren't too happy about. But they played a 7-inning doubleheader. They won the first game, and lost the second game. So initial takeaways from the Subway Series for you guys.
It just
Mets won fair and square. They won fair and square.
It just showed that the Mets are second half game team to me. Like you might start off a little slow here and there. Not the first game, but like obviously the second game, first game of the doubleheader, second game throughout the whole weekend. But I just learned more than anything about the resiliency of the Mets, I would say more than anything. And that the Yankees have a very talented roster, but they're struggling big time right now. And it's no one's used to this. That's why it's a big deal more than ever, because I saw a stat, I forget if it was on ESPN or Picks or SNY, one of them, but the Yankees haven't had a losing season in 28 years.
Since we were born, basically. All of us.
Yeah, as long as we've been on this planet Earth, living, breathing, whatever, the Yankees have finished above 500 every single one of those years. So seeing a team almost below 500, right above 500 right now, in 4th place in the division, it's rough. It's
that's the thing.
Rough.
They're at the time of recording this, they're 42-41, so just past the 81 game mark, which is just over the past of the halfway mark of the season, and they're on pace for about 82-83 wins, which honestly in the American League wouldn't even get them a wild card. So that's why this series as a whole was major, because if they'd gotten swept, they would have been below 500. But a major reason why they lost at least one of the games was Aroldis Chapman's ongoing struggles. Since the spider tack ban, he has almost a 22 ERA, and it's drastic at this point where he comes in and just can't get any outs.
Okay. I am just give me a minute here, J-Val. So the Mets win the Subway Series. Whoop-de-frickin-do. It's cool. They win. It's a good baseball team. I think people look at the Mets as some sort of god squad that is unstoppable. Not you, Clark, but a lot, I think, of Met fans do. They're not even the best team in their division, talent-wise, I should say. Talent-wise, they are leading the division with the record. But the Mets, they do have their struggles as they have their strong suits, just like every team. The Yankees were lucky not to have to face DeGrom. They beat up on Stroman, which I was a little bit happy about. Stroman's doing really good this year. Got embarrassed by Taijuan Walker. Now, Justin, tell me.
Yes.
What is the definition of insanity?
doing things over and over and over again and hoping for a different result.
Okay, now the Yankees since
I played Far Cry
2007,
3. I know that.
the Yankees since 2017, even 16, have had the same roster, tried the same things. Get the big bad power hitters. They're gonna nail home runs like it's nothing. Roll out Brett Gardner in center and left field and have no defense. And we're gonna have no starting pitching and we're gonna win, right? 17 it fails, 18 it fails, 19 it fails, 20 it fails. Nothing's gonna change this season. I don't understand what Brian Cashman thinks is going to happen. This is not a recipe for success. You may have a week-long winning streak, 5-6 games in a row, but other than that, it's not a sustainable recipe for winning. And I just don't understand what they're going to do. The deadline is about a month away, less than that, and Yankees are going to have to make a decision. They have the talent, but they need not just one player. They need a strong starter. They need strong relievers. They need another strong bat. And with how close they are to the luxury cap, I don't know if the Steinbrenners are going to want to give the okay to make those moves.
Well, Hal kind of talked on an interview, like he did a press conference. It was like, if there was a move to be made, he'd consider it. Not he would definitely do it. That's kind of where Steve Cohen, where if there's a move to be made, he almost said he'll do what he can to be a winner. Hal was kind of resistant to that. And like you said, they've been bringing back the same exact roster for year after year after year. And if we're being honest, they've gotten progressively worse and they've declined. Gleyber Torres is not hitting for the power that you thought he would. He's not good defensively at a shortstop position. He's really a second baseman. And, LeMahieu started off slow and he started hitting a little bit more, but you're still locked to him for another 5 years. But the big glaring issue is since the Spider Tack rule, Garrett Cole and Aroldis Chapman have appeared to be impacted the most across any pitchers across the MLB of the drasticness of going from having it to not having it. Cole, he's an elite pitcher before it, and he's still a good pitcher without it. It's just his stuff doesn't move as much. But the issue is Aroldis Chapman, where he's looking like 2019 Edwin Diaz, where it's just he comes in and it's just a save opportunity is a home run over the fence.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it's fair to call, Cole kind of like a bust at this point. I mean, it's only been 2 bad starts in a row. Both against very good teams. I mean, Boston's the best team.
I'm not calling it a bust. I'm just saying you can look at his stuff and there is a drop off.
But I feel like every pitcher, other than
I agree,
has kind of been hurt by this, which the MLB kind of needs to figure out. But with the Yankees, do you trade for a guy like Jose Berrios? Do you trade for the big bat of Trevor Story? And then, we only have one half a season with them, and if not, we're gonna have to blow it up because. Justin, we spoke before. I think the magic number is going to be 8. If the Yankees are 8 games or less behind of the wild card and or the division by the time of the deadline, I think you go for it. If not, I think you need to start selling some assets. If someone calls for Chapman, you want to get rid of him. Chad Green, you're never moving Stanton. I heard the thing yesterday. If you really want to move Stanton, look at what the Red Sox did with David Price. You had to pair him with a superstar. Mm-hmm. And unless you're trading like a Aaron Judge or a Gleyber Torres, that's probably the only way you're moving Stanton.
But here's the thing with the Yankees. If they decide we're just going for it, what farm is there really to trade? Because there's the almighty, prospect depth of Andujar, Frazier, Justice Sheffield when he was a prospect still. The prospects really aren't there to be called up anymore because Mike Ford's gone, Talkman's gone. You have Chris Giddens who came up for Voit, who was just kind of there. It's like, other than really Dominguez, who just started his minor league career this season, they don't really have any big prospects that they could trade away for big names.
No.
Never in his tenure has Cashman blown it up. So it's probably not going to happen. Which is why I think if you miss the playoffs, he needs to be out of the job. But,
Steve, we're gonna have to ask you to plug in your mic or whatever in and out because it does cut out a little bit.
Yeah, your stuff is a little finicky. It's kind of like sounds like Clark's Xbox.
My Xbox mic, yeah. While he's figuring that out, we'll have a conversation.
Did you hear anything of what I said?
Sort of on and off, but
yeah,
we get what you were
Brian
trying to say. Yeah, exactly. And while you're at it, get rid of Aaron Boone too, because
that's the thing.
I don't think Chapman should not have seen that first game of the doubleheader at all. Chad Green pitched 2 pitches the inning before, 2 pitches. That's it. And you have a guy you want to bring in who's struggling in a 1-run game. If the Yankees were up at least like 4 runs, 3, 4, 5 runs, I'd bring in Chapman, see if he could get the save, get a little bit of his confidence back. But 1-run game, you're not doing him any favors. You're just killing his confidence at that point. Because then you had the big bat of Alonso, but you know what Alonso did, and then they poured on another like 4 other runs. So I think that's Boone. That's a horrible job by Boone. I don't blame Chapman at all for that blown save.
Well, it sounds like almost Cashman and Boone are tied together. Because if you want to do a scapegoat and just dump Boone, how are you going to give Cashman then another managerial hire? Because then he's tied to that guy for at least 2 to 3 years then.
Yeah. Well, dump them both. Steve, you cannot hear a word.
Steve, your audio
right
is still
now.
a little messy. It's not messy. It's just not even picking up.
They didn't even pick it up this time. It's
right.
the Yankee gods.
Yeah, they don't want
They
to
don't
talk
want them
about
to
it.
back talk the Yankees.
I
the
know.
Yankee gods.
There
You're
you
good
are.
Okay, so I understand why you bring in Aroldis Chapman there. You give him a chance in front of a home crowd against the division rival to get, not the division rival, the rival,
Yeah.
to get back on track. What I don't understand is blows 2 fastballs right past Pete Alonso. Let me throw an 80-mile-an-hour slider against a top power hitter, and let me see what happens. I think Chapman's stuff, maybe it's with the foreign substance rule, but he still has probably the most overpowering fastball in the game, and I feel like he's not confident in it, which doesn't make sense.
Maybe because he doesn't feel like he can locate it now without the crap on the ball.
He's been wild.
Yeah, and you still don't bring him in a 1-run game. I don't care who he is.
Yeah.
He like you said, with the stuff, he is one of the better relievers in the league, and it's and he's been struggling. That heartbreaking loss. What was it? The other week that happened.
Angels.
Yeah, and it's a close game. And the power's up and everything. And I don't know. It's very confusing at this point. It just really is.
So let's flip it over to the Mets a little bit. And Conforto's back. He's not hitting. Lindor's still barely hitting.
He's doing better.
He's doing better, but still not as well as you want him to. And quite frankly, if Pete Alonso and Dom Smith didn't have the series they did, they really aren't winning those 2 games.
Well, yeah, Pete just came in clutch for a majority of the point because he's been slacking too. He didn't get a whole hit until that home run, that whole series so far. And then he hit a home run, the second one in the doubleheader too. But no, I honestly credit, Brandon Nimmo coming back because he was like the spark of offense all of a sudden, like him coming back, just leading off, getting on base, whether it's by walk or single or whatever, and just giving the team some life because they moved McNeil down in the order because McNeil's been struggling coming back too. Conforto hasn't been doing anything, like you said. Lindor's been sort of picking it up a little bit, and Dom Smith is hot right now. But other than that, you're slacking right now, and I credit Nimmo more than anything to the helping the offense out.
And James McCann has not been the best. He has
But also
but
very hot and cold. McCann.
But also they didn't really bring him in to be like an offensive heavy catcher because we've seen in the past years when they had, like Wilson Ramos behind the plate, they couldn't really actually catch. Like they brought him in to work with the staff and be just the backbone to help manage the games with the pitchers. And we've seen with Walker, with Stroman, and DeGrom especially, he's doing really well in calling games. And that's kind of where his contract lied because they wanted to go all in. They could have went after a Real Muto, and maybe this is where they kind of pulled back a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. Honestly, at the beginning of the season, his offense was lacking 100%. His defense was insane. They threw a ball to second just to win the game, one of the games. So that was insane. But lately, he's not blocking the balls behind the plate as good as he is, and he's known basically for grounding to a lot of double plays. And when he's on though with the bat, he's getting a couple hits of game for a good amount of stretches, a good amount of games. But when he's cold, dude is bad. It's just bad. But that's what happens in baseball, honestly. At the end of the day, you get hot, you get cold. As long as you're consistent enough to play the position, which I 100% he is consistent enough to be our starter and play that position, then I'm okay with it.
Here's what annoys me with the whole Met rivalry, basically, and this is not Stephen Clark is the rare Met fan that does not do this. Stanton strikes out a lot. This guy sucks. He's terrible. He's the worst hitter in the league. James McCann can't hit. Pete Alonso can't hit. Oh, it's okay. He'll get there. He'll get there. It's okay. I don't understand it. And
I think it's just always because the hype and the expectation around the Yankees, and
it's just so funny.
not you either, and not a lot of people that I know from college, but from high school, and all of a sudden, the Mr. 27 ring person argument, that's their only argument they have, and that gets on your nerves after a while. I haven't seen a title obviously in my whole life. Last one was 86. I wasn't even a thought back then. It was just it is frustrating, when the Mets struggle. But for our whole lives, like I said, Yankees haven't had a losing record in 28 years. We're used to the Yankees being this top powerhouse and going to the playoffs every year. When the Mets went in like 2015 to the playoffs, that was like a whole new experience, being a grown adult almost, and witnessing that for the first time, witnessing a successful franchise for the first time. And Yankee fans are very used to being successful and used to, championships and great players and great hitters and all the above. So I feel like for those Met fans that say that, it's just their frustration of like the whole Yankee organization and success and quote unquote buying players that they did, which it happened. It's baseball. You buy players to win games, but it's just all that frustration coming into one about that. And I could play a bit Justin gets frustrated too, because his team's not the greatest, and he has the Yankees in his division. Yeah, but that's just that.
And the last time the Yankees went into a semi-rebuild, but it was post World Series 09 until like 14, they came back stronger than ever.
Exactly.
In 15 they made the wild card, got even more prospects, and then 17 and 16 they pop with Aaron Judge and Sanchez. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, Cash.
It's almost like the Yankees, like the Mets, right? They look like they're having fun. Like whenever someone gets a hit, you see them all kind of like celebrate and do the little arm thing, whatever they do, right?
John Cena
arms. You look at the Yankees, they're just kind of like,
yeah,
it almost seems
like
they have
the Yankee way.
Well, that's the thing. They have like no fun and no chemistry, and it just seems like it seemed like because they were almost expected to make the playoffs, and they kind of just rested on their laurels of like, oh, we're the Yankees, we're a good team, we're going to be the playoffs no matter what. And it's kind of kicking them in the ass now that Boston got a lot better than they expected. Tampa Bay, they sold off Blake Snell, and they're still as good. They don't have Glass now. They're still okay. And Toronto, they moved their ETA of being a better team much quicker than expected. And I think that kind of caught the Yankees off guard as well.
Yeah, I think so too. And of course, now losing back-to-back series against two of your biggest rivals, that puts a toll on the Yankees fans too. Like I would hate if I was the Mets fans to lose to get swept by the Braves and then lose a series to the Yankees just like that. I would be furious. I'd be pissed right now too. It's not fun when your team sucks, and I've known that for almost every year of my life as a baseball fan, and I know you do too, Justin. And it's not fun. It's not fun. You have those couple glory years that are great, and you really enjoy those years where
2.5.
Exactly. Me too.
I had 2.5 good years.
Me too. I had 2006. I had 2015, and I guess 16 was the half for me because they made the wild card and got booted. But
I had 14 to 16.
There you go.
And that's it.
So and that's why our teams have fun too, I feel like too, because they're not the most successful in their past. And you see the team doing good, and you see the loyalty of the fans, and you form that bond with the fans. It's a real family feeling in a way. And you really get connected to these players like Joey Lucchesi, who is a bum. That celebration they do in the dugout is after him, because that's how he holds the ball when he does his chirve. So that is a dedication to him because he went down with Tommy John surgery. So that's why they do that after every hit, after every home run. It's just a family feeling with the Mets, and I love it.
Yeah, and that's where the Yankees, it's just like they're all business, and it seems like when they're losing, they're just even more miserable. Because at least when the Mets they're losing, it looks like they're still having fun at times. But also like Lindor, right? He's not producing at the plate offensively as much as you'd want him to, but it's clear he's taking the reins as a leader of the team. There's a mound visit. He's the first one there. It's like Judge should be the captain of the team and should be the vocal leader and kind of like showing the frustration of the players. But it doesn't seem like any player is necessarily stepping up and taking the reins.
Well, I think with that, I think that's a behind closed doors kind of thing. Aaron Boone, there was a report Aaron Boone had a players only meeting a few days ago, I think right before the start of the Subway Series, just like letting everything off of his chest. So, I mean, you assume hopefully some players kind of stepped up and talked a bit, but, you know, any team can go on a run. I mean, look at the Brewers. They won, what, 15 in a row?
Something like that, 11, 12. It
You know,
just
the Dodgers are on a 9-game winning streak. So anything could happen. But it's going to have to happen quick if they want to be buyers or sellers.
Yeah, we're about 2.5, 3 weeks away from the trade deadline, so the market will start to take shape of who's going to be available. So it'll be interesting to see who the Mets and Yankees trade for. So let's talk about the other major thing going on in the world of baseball, and that's the All-Star break that's happening in just about a week's time. And the rosters were announced, and Shohei Ohtani made history for the American League as being selected as both a designated hitter and a starting pitcher. First time ever that has happened. He's been on an absolute tear, courtesy of the Orioles. Got him over 31 home runs already this past weekend. He's on pace for 62 home runs. I don't know if he keeps that up, but he could definitely hit the 50 mark if he produces half of what he's doing. So initial thought with the All-Star starter selections for both teams.
I think for majority of the position players, they did okay. I mean, I really like what Gurriel is doing in Houston. I think he's been tearing up lately, and the fact that he didn't even get, a reserve or anything. I don't even think he got a reserve, but
Yeah, for the starters for the AL are Salvador Perez, Vlad Guerrero, Marcus Semien, Rafael Devers, Bogarts, Trout, Judge, Teoscar Hernandez, and Ohtani. But Trout obviously more than likely won't play because he is injured. And then the reserves are Zanino, Altuve, Bichette, Correa, Olson, Ramirez, Walsh, Brantley, Gallo, Garcia, Mullins, Martinez, and Nelson Cruz. Pitchers, we'll get into that. And in the NL is Posey, Freeman, Frazier, Arenado, Tatis, Acuna, Castellanos, and Winker as the starters. Reserves being Realmuto, Albies, Bryant, Crawford, Cronenworth, Escobar, Muncy, Turner, Betts, Reynolds, Schwarber, Soto, and Chris Taylor.
Oh, I got one for you. The interior of your heart. Where's your boy Manny Machado? He
really
deserves it. He's such a good key piece to that team that they need.
Defensively, he is, but offensively, it's been a down year for him.
Still could have been a reserve. I know I'll be biased and say, my guy Taijuan Walker deserved to be on. One of the best pitchers in the National
Walker
League.
And Stroman should have been selected as reserve pitchers, if we're being honest.
Yeah, Stroman's been a little struggling. Saw him with the Yankees struggled the last couple starts before that. Yeah, there could be a case for Stroman, definitely, but I think Walker's been just the biggest surprise because that's kind of the guy they got instead of Trevor Bauer, last-minute signing, just to fill out a rotation, and he's been a solid number 2 or number 3 starter, and I 100% think he should have, been on the roster.
Someone we have been following very hard, Freddie Peralta, not on the All-Star team, and it's funny because it's weird to see these terrible teams with just multiple players, like Texas. I mean, Adolis Garcia and Kyle Gibson. Milwaukee, whose pitching staff was a joke for the past 5 years. Corbin Burns, Josh Hader, and Woodruff.
They won like 11 in a row now, though.
That's the thing with the Brewers. They've almost flipped where it was almost too much offense to where they needed a DH. They had Moustakas move from third to second base, and now they have an elite pitching staff, and now the offense is Yelich is bad. They just put it that way.
Yeah.
So the Brewers completely flipped.
Yeah. No.
Roster. I think they got most of them right. Machado, the thing with Machado is he's coming on as of late. Kind of struggled early on in the year. But again, talent alone and popularity alone, I'm surprised he didn't get in.
Stanton could have been a DH too, or something. Stanton could have easily gotten, and he had that stretch that was really, really good.
It's just ironic that Chapman got selected to the All-Star team, and now he's just kind of lacking.
Hey, speaking of New York relievers, Edwin Diaz could have gotten in easily. One blown save, I think 18 saves so far in the season. Not bad. I mean, borderline, but if you're putting Chapman in, I mean, might as well throw Diaz in there too. But I don't know when these votes were, decided on officially and everything.
Well, the managers pick the staffs, which is interesting.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Boy, I feel bad for the Tigers. Their one and only All-Star is a relief pitcher, it's like they're never going to see the field in that game.
Yeah, and what do we think about Byron Buxton? Being an all-star, like that's very iffy to me. I think that's
he started off like an all-star, but he's missed significant time. Same thing with Trout. He just kind of he got the nod because he's Mike Trout, obviously. So the big question is who's going to be the center field starter for the American League? Non-biased. A lot of people point towards Cedric Mullins just because he's having a great breakout season. But like if Buxton wasn't hurt on and off, it could be him.
I think it's got to be Adolis Garcia, right? I mean, he's really the only one I could think of that deserves that center field. I don't know. I just think he's by far the best option. Justin, thoughts on that?
You're wrong, but just plain and simple. No, I like the All-Star. It's going to be a good game, depending on
terrible jerseys. Terrible jerseys.
Oh yeah, this is the first year that they're actually wearing the jerseys too. While they
that
play.
Is disappointing.
Of all the years, they could have
disappointing.
Of all the years, they could have picked to wear the jerseys.
Yeah, because they had to move from, they moved from Atlanta to Coors, and it's like, so were these going to be the jerseys they would have worn in Atlanta?
Probably.
They're hideous.
Probably. I mean, they don't really have any like team decoration to them like you would usually see in an all-star jersey. Like with the Yankee ones, you have the Yankee colors, and of course you have like the bridges and whatever, the Statue of Liberty I think was on it or something or whatever. Like there's no like design. It's like, just like an old-fashioned
there's
type
no
of
personality
jersey.
to it.
No, they stink. They just plain stink, and we're gonna have to watch these, and that stinks. But the Derby should be fun at least, so I'm looking forward to that.
Right now it's Salvador Perez, Mancini, Ohtani, Story, and Pete Alonso.
Yeah,
5 out of the 8 total names have declared. So putting those guys all in Coors Field,
fun.
That's gonna be awesome, especially if they put in the juice ball from 2 years ago or last year, make it even better.
Yeah, and especially if Ohtani wins it too. That's what we all want to see at this point. I know you got your Mancini and I got my Alonso in, but it'd be awesome if Ohtani wins it. Just adds to the mystique and the aura around Ohtani. I think that'd be so much fun.
What you got, Steve? You raising your hand?
Yeah, I'm waiting for my Yankee player to be involved in this. I'm waiting for
probably Voit, maybe.
I like Voit.
Voit would be cool.
Voigt's a big dude.
Yeah, I mean he's going off. Judge won't do it. I mean Stan would make the most sense, but I doubt he would do it.
No, he
now what I'm
do
scared of is, I mean, every single person that competes in the home run derby just tanks for the next month after it. So Ohtani may, if this happens, he could hurt his MVP run.
Could.
Well, it depends if he completely drops off. If he finishes with 45 home runs still, I think he still walks away.
What I'm saying is, like, if he goes cold the next month.
Oh, and just August is a lost cause, basically.
That's what I'm saying. Most players usually do.
It could.
And the thing that's scarier with
Chris Davis is still slumping after his his home run derby appearance.
The thing that's scary with Ohtani too, I know the rumor is, you get hurt from doing the home run derby.
Yeah, you mess up your swing timing and everything.
Of course, you mess up your swing timing. You might pull something in your arm too. You never know what injuries you could do. Ohtani pitches too. We can't forget about that. He pitches, and it could
a
really
rough start.
Yeah, it could really mess up some of his pitches and everything, and could lead to future injuries down the line. So that's very scary that he pitches and he's doing this.
Well, that's the thing. When he was in New York and got blown up and only recorded 2 outs and gave up 7 runs, his ERA jumped from a 2.5 to a 3.8. So, offensively, he's the MVP. But if he, lacks pitching wise, could that also hurt his MVP chance? Because that's kind of what he has going for him.
Definitely. I think definitely. But if he does stay consistent, puts down the rumors of, the injuries and stuff that happen from this, continues to do well, I think it's almost a surefire, MVP right there.
Yeah. Well, any last thoughts on the old baseball before we wrap?
Looking forward to the Subway Series in September. 9/11 weekend, that'd be special.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. It'd be very, very
interesting. They got
interesting.
to get the custom jerseys or hats for that.
Well, I know they're going to let them wear, I think one team's going to wear firefighter hats for New York, and then one's going to wear police department.
And Mets better be wearing the black jerseys because that's when Piazza hit that home run. So It'll be interesting. We'll see. Hopefully, Yankees step it up. We'll see where the teams are looking in September. We can get a way better feel of the playoffs then, obviously. So it'll be exciting couple months in baseball, though.
I can't wait for the Jacob DeGrom, Jameson Tyone Game 1 matchup. Tyone's
man, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, that wraps up this edition of baseball. So, Clark, when we do a finals podcast, sometime this week, where can everyone listen to that? Because, like I said before, we're kind of on like a little summer schedule, so we're kind of taking it easy here and there, 1 to 2 podcasts a week, nothing nuts. And then once football starts ramping up, we'll do our division breakdown and preview for those, and then on to regular football season, where we'll do a lot of football episodes every week, basically.
Oh yeah, but you guys know, subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Follow us on our social medias on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at SportsDepthPod. That's Sports DEPT Pod. We, like Justin basically said, what we got going on. Summer schedule, basketball finals, NHL, maybe a recap of that. We'll see, depending on, if it's going to be a sweep. We know it's going to be a sweep, but football, he said it all. Wrestling, fans are back. Money in the Bank coming up in a couple weeks, so that's exciting too. Stay tuned to all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.